Hey everyone, and welcome to today's event in conversation with Kids Against Plastic. This is part of a series of events taking part of iwill Week 2022. This is so exciting. So excited. So my name is Irys, and I am one of your co-hosts. This is my other co-host, Eddie.
Hi.
We are iwill ambassadors, and this event is with Amy and Ella from Kids Against Plastic, but sadly they couldn't be here to do a live, so we recorded an interview with them. I wait, hang on, sorry. What was I going to say? Yes, so we will be doing a Q&A at the end of this event, but sadly, as Amy and Ella couldn't be here, it will just be Eddie and myself. So as we go along, just please think of some questions for us, put them in the chat, and if you want to share anything, your thoughts, then please also post them. And there's emojis. Make seriously good use of the emojis. Also, before we start, we have a couple of questions for you. So if you go to the button, you can find a poll. Yeah, the have your say button, and you can look at the poll and you can answer some questions. And I'm very excited to see the results of those. Yes, I think we can get into the video unless Eddie, you would like to say anything else.
No, yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting, really great conversation, so we hope you enjoy it.
Hello, a big welcome to everyone, and thanks for joining us at today's In Conversation with Kids Against Plastic. My name is Irys. I'm an iwill ambassador and the founder of #WeTheCrowd, a digital campaign fighting against chemical pollution.
And hi, I'm Eddie, an iwill ambassador. I'm a climate and human rights advocate, and I was recently involved in the Elcoy local conference of youth climate conference. We are your hosts for this event. This is an In Conversation With event, and this is part of a series of events taking place for iwill Week, which is all about youth social action, getting young people doing things exciting. There's a lot of really interesting events going on, so be sure to check the iwill website, www.iwill.org.uk, for all the events and resources.
iwill Week is an annual celebration that really highlights the power of youth social action. And joining us today are two incredible young people making a difference across the country. Please give a warm welcome to Amy and Ella, founders of the environmental charity Kids Against Plastic. Since founding CAP, Amy and Ella have worked hard to inspire both kids and adults to take action to reduce their use of single-use plastics, or become plastic clever, as they call it. Their Plastic Clever scheme has been adopted by over 1,300 schools, as well as by cafes, businesses, councils, and festivals around the UK. So welcome, Amy and Ella, and thanks for having this conversation with us today. So, Amy and Ella, can you tell me a bit about yourselves, Kids Against Plastic, and why you guys founded the charity?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks so much for having us as part of this conversation today. So I'm Amy, I'm 19. I'm Ella, and I'm 17. And we founded our environmental education charity called Kids Against Plastic around nearly 7 years ago now, back in February 2016. And it was around this time that we kind of came across plastic pollution and the scale of it, and just decided that we wanted to do something ourselves about it. And since then, we've been running our charity to try and empower young people to feel like they can have a role to play in environmental issues like plastic pollution and climate change.
Wow, thank you. I think that's really cool, like especially the sort of empowerment of young people. Like with my campaign, that's something that I want to do as well, because it's just so important. Because for me, like I've sometimes felt like that I don't actually really know what to do, like, and I don't feel like I can do anything. But I think having people like you guys, there to support people, especially with like your CAP club and stuff, like just that support and empowerment is really good.
Yeah. From what I've seen, you guys have inspired so many young people to do so many amazing things. So that's really, really great. Moving to the second question, the theme of this iwill Week event, the theme of this iwill Week day, is digital versus IRL in real life campaigning. which is better. Is there one better? Is it all about balance? So yeah, for people who don't know, digital activism is social media campaigns, petitions, webinars like this, podcasts, that kind of thing. And in real life activism is organizing conferences, protesting talks, and kind of engaging with communities. So litter picking, for example. So I wanted to ask you guys, is Kids Against Plastic, they do a bit of both, or do you focus on one more than the other?
I'd say we try and do a bit of both with Kids Against Plastic. Before COVID, it was mainly in person, so we would try and do litter picks and attend as many conferences as we could and do talks at schools. And then over the period of COVID, we spent that time trying as much as possible to figure out how we could carry on running the charity just online. And it was a bit of a learning experience, but we managed to develop our Kids Against Plastic Club, lots of resources, and carry on our work as much as possible in that time. So I'd say we found a balance now. Yeah, I think we try and, as much as possible, make things accessible online for people. So it's kind of a hybrid, because a lot of the campaigns that we run, a lot of the resources that we provide are things that hopefully are accessible for anyone, anywhere in the world. That's really kind of been a key thing for us as part of our charity. But then it's also hopefully something that people can take away and turn into in real life activism, like taking resources and using them at their school, or organising a community litter pick, or speaking to their local MP or government, or at a local conference. So really, as Ella said, trying to find the line between the digital stuff and actually the on the ground action that obviously makes such a difference.
I really like the way you put that. It's almost like online activism can unlock real life activism.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. So yeah, we were thinking when we're planning this session, we're thinking, how can we we wanted to ask you, how can we make them work in unison? But you've kind of answered that already. So I think, Irys, can you go ahead with the next question?
Yeah. So I was looking at like your guys' social media stuff. Like I followed you for a while, and I've seen that you guys have written a couple of books. So Be Climate Clever and Be Plastic Clever. And I kind of got the impression that they were sort of based like, or aimed towards like younger kids. So, you know, it's really important to listen to and include younger kids, you know, but even like us being a bit older, like we're not always listened to. So can you give some advice to the older people who might be listening to this about how they can better include young people, and, you know, like how they can like improve like getting young people's voices out there and, you know, make them heard?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really good question. And to be honest, I think it's one that there's kind of no easy answer to, right? Because if it was easy, then hopefully we'd see so much more youth involvement at so many different levels, whether it comes to conferences, businesses, governments. So I think it's a really tricky thing to try and crack. But I think the main difference that we often see when it comes to properly including young people in conversations, whether it's at really high level business, whether it's just in local community groups, is really ensuring that you're not just hearing what young people say, but you're actually properly listening to the points that they're trying to raise. Because, you know, you guys probably will have come across it. There's so much youth washing around now. I mean, that's become like a real buzzword in the last year or two, because I think we've just seen so much of it happening, which is where young people are invited into conversations or invited to have a seat at the table, but then it's kind of a token thing. It's maybe a one-off run through some upcoming policy, or maybe it's not really something that was ever intended to be taken on board by the person who'd invited you there. And so I think that one really simple thing, hopefully that's a real first step to have a proper youth engagement, is just making sure that if you do include young people in the decisions you're making, that you're actually properly listening to what they have to say. And I think that applies from adults to young people. I think it applies from even people our age, teenagers, including, you know, you said, Irys, about including young kids. That's kind of a key part of our charity. Just really making a space that we can listen to all voices in this scenario and actually properly take on board what they have to say and come back to them, and ensure it's an ongoing process and not just kind of a snap one-off and a tick of the box. You know, we've listened to young people, we're all done now.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with what Amy said. I think though, if you're seeing that young people are wanting to be listened to and you want to promote that you're listening to young people, then it shows that there's an audience out there who is really passionate about having the voice of young people involved in policy and in these companies. So I think if there's people who really want that change, it shouldn't just be something that is a token online thing to share that the company is doing such a great job of listening to young people. If there is such a big audience of people who want to see that actually happening, then it's kind of just a sign that it should be happening anyway. It's not just a token thing.
Yeah, 100%. And like Amy, you were saying, like youth washing, like I've heard about it like quite a lot, but like more recently I've been looking into it, and yeah, it's completely ridiculous. But I think, you know, it sort of goes both ways as well. Like young people do have to listen to older people, you know, and like value their opinions because they have more experience, you know, they've lived longer, like all of that stuff. So
I'm going to jump in there quickly.
Okay, yes.
This is quite relevant. I was doing a workshop recently, and we were giving adults the opportunity to run to design an event for young people for climate. And it was really interesting to see the difference between we said make sure you're involving young people properly, not tokenistically, and it's just really interesting to see the way that people interpret that. And there's just so many different dimensions to involving young people. So you have to be inclusive, you have to be like this. It's quite complicated, and so I think that puts some people off. But yeah, if the people get it right, it's definitely worth it. As I'm sure your work can be a testament to.
No, it's a really good point though, and I think to be honest, it kind of highlights another thing when it comes to youth involvement, which is that it kind of doesn't have to be in one way either. You know, like you were saying, people have so many different approaches when they have faced with something that, you know, as you were saying, it's quite a new challenge. Like, how do we invite in this completely different viewpoint and perspective and actually work it into what we're trying to achieve with our business or with our government? And it's kind of like, it doesn't have to just be that it's in a board meeting. It doesn't have to be in a certain forum. It can really be integrated in any way that works for you. And I think, as you said exactly, Iris, a two-way thing as well. I think it needs to be collaboration with so many of these things, and that's when it moves away from tokenistic to actually something that will make a big difference. So yeah, I completely agree with all you're both saying.
Yeah. So also, like, I'm quite new to the world of digital campaigning, but like from my experience, it's sometimes difficult to engage people with like online actions. And like, how, like, have you ever experienced this? And like, if so, how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I think it is difficult initially to try and get people to actually take action. I think a massive part of that is habits and mindsets. So I think when people maybe scrolling on social media, they're not in the right mood to want to at that moment go and do something right then. It's kind of a chill out time for a lot of people. So I think it's all about making action on social media as small and as doable as possible to not put anyone off. Because if you're lying on bed scrolling on social media and you see someone saying to go and do this massive thing right now, go and do arrange a massive litter pick with your local area, at that point in their life it could be kind of difficult or not what they want to really be doing. And so I think it's on social media, it's all about making action as doable as possible and inclusive.
Yeah, we want to ask you about accessibility of digital activism later, so we'll get onto that later. And my question now is kind of quite similar to that one, but it's what have you found has been the limitations to digital activism, and then kind of going on from that, have you found that there are limitations to in real life activism, and have you found that the limitations of each complement the benefits of each other, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they definitely do from our experience. I think when it comes to digital activism for us and digital campaigning, it is very difficult because you've kind of got this wall almost between what you're trying to say and whether people are actually engaging with it. You kind of put things out there and you're hoping that maybe someone's picking up what you're saying, maybe someone's actually taking action on this point. But for a lot of things that aren't so much the tangible actions that Ella was talking about, which is like, go and sign a petition and you can see petition numbers crawl up, or go and sign up to this initiative and you can see that go up. You know, those are things that are quite measurable. But when it comes to things like attitude changes, which is something that obviously we're pushing for a lot when it comes to our charity, or whether it's getting involved in something that's a larger change that we're trying to push for, it's sometimes quite frustrating because it's kind of thinking, well, is anything actually happening? Is this actually going anywhere? And I think especially on social media, that's a really big issue for us, which is why when it comes to digital activism, we try not to just limit our digital campaigning to social media, because I think social media can be great and it can be such a useful tool. But if you also have things like, we've got our website, we've got all our resources on there, we've got our initiatives, our app for litter logging, you know, so many other ways to get involved digitally that are actually so much more measurable and hopefully so much more useful than just a post on social media that you might forget about after maybe 1 minute or so. So I think those are some of the key barriers digitally. And then obviously in real life, it's kind of the complete opposite, because you've not got people at the tap of a button. You've got to go and actually engage with people in so many different locations, which is obviously so limiting when you're 2 people like us who are at school and university, and you've got so many other pressures on. So that's where the digital actually comes in on that and really helps with engaging this broad variety of people that otherwise you'd be really limited to maybe just your street or your city. It really allows you to reach people all around the world.
Yeah, I think we really, when we started the charity, underestimated the power of having action on social media and online, not just in person, because so far we'd only ever experienced doing it as in person, going and giving talks and things like that. It never really occurred to us the amount of stuff you can do online with a charity. And so I think when we realized the power of that, it really opened up a lot more opportunities for us to do things with the members of the Kids Against Plastic Club, things like that, because previously it had been a group of people who had all over the country and even in different countries outside of the UK, and we never thought of how we could bring them all together. It was impossible to do it in person, so how could we actually do it? So I think it's definitely something that shouldn't be underestimated, the amount of stuff you can do in person but also online.
Yeah, it's a great tool for organizing, isn't it, Zoom and kind of teams and stuff.
Absolutely.
It's kind of similar to the previous question, a little bit different. We found that promoting social media has a lot of negativity. Is it difficult have you found it difficult for positive messages to get traction? Have you found it's difficult have you found that there's lots of negativity perpetuated by social media? What do you think about that?
I think it's tricky. I think the difficulty with social media is it's kind of like you can just stay in the bubble of the people that you follow, and as soon as you go out of that bubble, then you can really see so many different viewpoints, ones that can be quite negative, be quite confrontational. And I think if you're putting things up on social media, you know, you're naturally going to get negativity, and it's not a good thing, and it's not something that should be accepted, but it's kind of just a sad reality of the platform that for every 100 people that might like that post, there might be one person who's raises something that's not constructive but is just plain negative or really hateful. And I think luckily we've not come into contact with that too much, because I think one of the key principles of our charity, especially working with young kids, has been really focusing on positivity and optimism and inclusiveness, and not trying to kind of alienate people, which I think hopefully makes it easier to engage people of different audiences on social media who might not have come across environmental things before, or were maybe quite adverse to actually taking action. So I think that's kind of helped us a bit with that, but it's definitely something that we still come into contact with, and unfortunately I don't think it's something that's going to go away anytime soon when it comes to social media.
Asking for things and asking people for responses to their stuff, and I think that sometimes like my campaign gets lost and all that, and I think a lot of other people probably experience that too, but how do you think we can overcome this, or in this respect do you think IRL is the way forward?
It's a really tough question, and I think, to be honest, it's something that we struggle with a lot still with our campaign, despite having so many years that we've been doing it, and hopefully somewhat of some people involved at this point. It's still really tricky to actually, as Ella said earlier, get people from that state of looking at something on their phone to actually thinking, I'm going to go and do something about this, despite all of the other 10 requests I've had in the time that I've been on social media. But I think that's where making the ask really, really simple comes in, because if it's something like perhaps record something that will take 2 minutes, for example, or if it's something that will be write a letter to, for example, a supermarket. One of our current campaigns is around letter writing. If we'd asked people to do that, we're very, very likely to have very few people engage, because who's going to take the time to sit down at their laptop for 5 minutes to write an email if they're not really passionate about it, which hopefully people are. but people are also super busy. So for example, for us, it's been making pre-written letters, pre-written emails that are literally 2 clicks to open it and then send it, and then it's all sorted. Things that you can do to really minimize effort but have a lot of performance from that tend to be, you know, in our experience, ways to really drive that engagement, because people often do care. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget on social media that people are following you for a reason and they're supporting you for a reason. But the fact that they're not actually turning that into action doesn't mean that they're not keen on what you're doing. It's just that people have so much going on. So really making it as quick and as simple and as actionable as possible, I think, is our tactic.
Yeah, I really like that. I really like you said just because people are following you for a reason. I really like that. I think that's something that people could remember, because it's easy to kind of feel down when things aren't going your way, and it's easy for, at the minute it's quite tricky for activists to break into real change, especially when everyone's still busy with kind of recovering from COVID and that kind of thing. So if you remember that people are still as following you for a reason, I really like that. I really like that. My question next for you is, there's been a lot more technology used over the last few years. For example, COVID's come up a few times. I mean, everyone spent most of the lockdowns almost all the time on the internet. Have you noticed any differences in the ways people respond to your campaigning? Have you been using digital activism more, or kind of have you then been going back to in real life as the pandemic has ceased? And also just generally as technology becomes more commonplace, how has that changed the way that you work?
Yeah, I would say technology has definitely become a lot more common within our charity, but also with everyone, really. And I think that's why it can be used in a way that's a lot easier than it was before, because so many people rely on technology to learn about the news, to learn about what's going on, to get involved with things for school and for work. It's so much more ingrained in our lives now, since we had to rely on it for 2 or 3 years. So I'd say it's definitely made it easier in that aspect, but also there are some pros and cons to technology, and I think there's never a better way to get your message across than going and speaking to people in person. And it's also a lot more enjoyable, I think we find anyway. But it's always just a case of weighing up the pros and cons, and also using the positives of both. So not just limiting your action down to technology or in person, it's about really combining them as much as possible.
Yeah, and I think Ella mentioned earlier briefly that COVID was a big change for us when it came to our campaigning, because especially with the Kids Against Plastic Club, because I think we went into COVID with 20 members or something, and I think by the end of the next year we had 150 members or something like that, because we really took the time to sort of look at what we were doing and actually what we could do better, because we had all this time at home doing schoolwork definitely, but also looking at our campaigning and thinking, look, we need to better engage these kids. We need to start having these weekly Zoom meetings that we still have every Saturday morning with them. We need to start running activities that they can do from their homes that aren't things that require going to school or don't require doing stuff out and about in their community. So I think it was a big period of change and consolidation for us, and something that still continues in our work, because I think people still haven't fully left the COVID way of working behind, even through the things that they look at on social media, whether it's through, you know, the way they live their lives to some extent, the way they work. So I think it's still very relevant to look at how digital stuff fits into in real life.
Yeah, and eye-opening as well, because before we would never have said let's arrange weekly Zoom meetings with the kids, because seemed so weird to have a Zoom call. Like we'd never really thought of that kind of thing before, like an online call, an online meeting. But yeah, you can learn so much from these experiences, and it's just about taking that away with you, I think.
It's an interesting question. What would we have done if there hadn't been a COVID? Would we be doing with these Zooms? Would you guys have been doing the Zooms? Because at some point maybe it would have occurred to people, but maybe not. It's a really interesting question. And yeah, I think it's really interesting that we're having this conversation about in real life versus digital, especially as everything's just kind of so uncertain at the minute. And it's a really interesting time, getting a bit philosophical. It's a really interesting time for the world, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, and I love like the sort of accessibility like element, because, you know, like for kids, like at the beginning of COVID, I was like 13, I don't know, however old I was quite young, but like it's difficult to like get out there and get involved in like in real life things, you know, without, you know, dragging a parent along or like something like that. So it's, you know, when they're busy working and stuff, it's quite difficult to engage in that. So it really sort of opens it up to young people. And also, like, you know, I've been involved in things like global, like online Zoom things, and like, you know, you get to hear people's opinions like from across the world and like hear different people's experiences of climate change and social change and stuff like that, which I think is great. Yeah.
When I was working on working with the UNICEF youth group, we had a call with people from UNICEF Australia, and it was like, I want to call people from Australia. That's so cool.
Yeah, totally. We've kind of got the same thing, because we've got some of our youth members are from, I think it's over 10 countries now, right? And we have members from Australia who join every week, and you know,
they're eating dinner.
Yeah, they're eating dinner where we're like, it's 9 a.m. in the morning and we're freezing in the winter and it's really hot for them. But even, you know, changes, as you said, in attitudes toward things like plastic and climate change, and to also see some of our youth members who are based in, for example, Wales and Australia now speak, you know, within the week outside of the meetings, because they're now connected up over this platform that, you know, like you were saying, we might not have used in this way before COVID. And obviously COVID was such an awful thing, but in many ways it completely changed the ways that we live, and hopefully in some ways for the better, with things like this interconnectedness and different viewpoints and activities. Yeah.
Okay, so next question. So like I was at an event the other day, and there was this girl speaking about how she couldn't get protests because she was a refugee in the UK. And so if she got arrested, she risked herself and her family getting deported. And like, so some people don't really have like the privilege of being able to protest like in real life. And I guess this is an issue that we're like not really talking about. Like, I wasn't really aware like that was a thing before I heard her experience. But how do you think we can sort of like overcome this? Like, you know, I don't really think that digital is particularly is a substitute for that, but like, can it fit in a different way? But also, like, how can we talk about these issues, like to highlight them? Because, you know, like I said, I wasn't really aware, and I think not many people are, but it's obviously something that's quite big.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's kind of almost two things. I think the first thing is, as you said, there are so many perspectives like that have been left out of conversations around climate change and environmental issues, broader issues, for so long. And I think the rise, you know, we've seen a rise in young people, but we also have seen a rise in, as we were just talking about, the interconnectedness, different viewpoints, different opinions, perspectives that we might not have heard before if we were just working in our communities. And so I think the first thing we really need to make sure that, you know, we're all doing as much as possible is listening to voices that aren't just in our echo chamber, and also trying to uplift those voices, you know, people from different communities or countries, actually making sure that we're taking on board what different people say, because almost everyone has something important to say when it comes to this issue, even if it's something that we hadn't considered or if it wasn't something that we necessarily agreed with completely. It's all really important. And I think it's really hard with protests because it plays such a pivotal role in environmental, social, so many issues. It kind of just such a huge job to raise these issues up the global agenda, but also it's something that for so many people, even if they're not in a situation like that, it's something that can be really scary, because they are really massive events and they are very loud and they're very, you know, quite overwhelming in so many ways. And for some people, that's just, you know, not the way that they want their activism to be. And I think that we all need to be really aware that when it comes to especially environmental issues, there's so many ways to get involved that aren't just kind of this one size fits all approach. Like, if you want to go and protest, amazing, that's fine. We do a lot of work with young kids, and we're not going to encourage like a 6-year-old, you know, go out and join this massive protest in your local area by yourself. But that doesn't mean they can't be involved. There's so many ways, whether it's just through small changes individually to get started, which can grow into supporting other campaigns virtually, or getting involved in local community groups that are focused on other aspects of the environment, like rewilding, or just even community groups that might go on to protest that you can be involved in behind the scenes. So I just think really making sure that we have so many diverse ways to get involved in this, because we need everyone involved in environmentalism and activism. And the only way that we can do that is provide different pathways, whether it is virtual or in real life. Yeah.
It's all about being inclusive, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. Like, you know, just it can be tailored to anyone, and that makes people go, oh, actually, even though that's something really small, like I can do that. Like I was at an event the other day, and this guy was talking about how, you know, there's like people on the front lines doing stuff, but then there's people that, you know, like, so the people on the front lines, it might be their job, but then there's people that, you know, might pick up those people's kids from school so that, you know, they can do their job, but those people still matter just as much. So even though they're not like taking direct action, they're still doing something that to make a difference. So yeah, no, I think just like showing that anyone can do as much as little as possible.
I was I organised this youth conference. I was involved in organising the youth climate conference a few weeks ago, and one of the workshops we were doing for new people in the climate movement was about introduction to climate justice and intersectionality. So the idea that the climate crisis is a justice crisis, and it was really great because we realised that kind of maybe a few years ago, it wouldn't have been such a prominent thing. This need to include everybody, this need to talk about the fact that everything is interconnected. But now it's become the movement's made such big strides in inclusivity, in kind of in this notion that everything is connected, and that was really positive. I felt really positive from that. Moving in a different direction for our next question. You guys have been running Kids Against Plastic for about 5 to 6 years now, we think.
Yeah, just over. I think 6 or 7 or
Almost
so
7.
now. Yeah.
Wow, that is a long time. There's a few parts to this question. Firstly, how do you guys ever get on each other's nerves? How have you managed to kind of work together well over that time? And also, presumably your parents have played a big role in supporting you. Is there anyone else who you couldn't have done it without?
Wow.
Yeah, I
Good
would say
question.
Kids Against Plastic has always been really based around our family as much as possible. It's always been something that we've all been passionate about and all worked on. And just before we started the charity, we spent a lot of time traveling together as a family of 4 of us. And so we spent a lot of time with just each other
Close quarters,
in a small space. We were traveling in a caravan with all 4 of us. So yeah, we definitely learned how to not get on each other's nerves as much. And I think that's a big part in how we've actually been able to run a charity together since then. I don't know if we would have been able to do it if we didn't spend that time becoming a close family. But because we did, I think obviously we're sisters, we'll get on each other's nerves occasionally, but it's never something that lasts more than like 2 hours or something.
That's very specific.
Like no one holds
Yeah.
a grudge for long at all.
No.
And it's we're very lucky that we get on so well as sisters, and I think a big part of that has been from how our parents have brought us up, so we're very lucky for that.
Yeah, and I think it's also quite a formative thing being involved in campaigning and activism, because like, you know, we're very lucky, I think, to have each other there when we're about to, for example, go on stage to do a presentation in front of a lot of people, and we've got each other there to kind of, you know, have our backs and kind of motivate us all a bit and calm us down. That's our parents' role a lot of the time, right? But so we're very lucky to have our parents there to support us in all of this and get really involved in their own way, because, you know, they're both teachers, so education is such a massive thing for them. So environmental education is obviously a really big part of that. So it's kind of been a really nice mesh to bring us all together in our different ways. And so I think that's been a big role. And we've also been so lucky throughout the years to get support from so many other people in the environmental sphere, because, you know, Irys, you mentioned earlier about adults and how important adults are in this fight. And, you know, we're called Kids Against Plastic. We're a youth-focused charity, but there's been so many incredible environmentalists who've been involved in this field for far longer than we have, who are so incredible in the work that they're doing to raise awareness. And then also the younger kids that have just been such a motivation for us over the years to keep going. So it's really been, I think we always like to say that our charity, it's not really our charity, it's not about us, it's really a community thing, and something that has helped us along the way as part of that.
I would also say that when we joined the meeting, I know our name was on as Big Kids Against Plastic. We changed it to Amy and Ella. But the reason that it was Big Kids Against Plastic is because we kind of have this mini group of parents of the kids team as well, who are all so supportive of their kids, and we couldn't have these kids as part of the team without their parent support. So I think we're also lucky with how many young people's parents are really encouraging them to get involved and take action. And so obviously we owe it to the big kids against plastic too.
So my next question. So like, what is one piece of advice that do you wish someone had given you at the start of your campaigning? And also, what advice can you give someone now?
Wow, that's a good question.
Do you want to go first on this one?
No.
Okay, I'll go first. I think I'll go with one from the start. I think the first thing that I think we'd been more aware of was the fact that, I guess, just that it's not a clear-cut issue when it comes to environmental issues. Like when we came into plastic, we were 12 and 10 years old, we were quite young, and we'd done so much research and learning around this issue. And, we knew pretty much a lot of there is to know about plastic when we came into it. But I think it's just always works to be aware of the fact that sometimes there isn't an easy answer to all of these issues, like especially when it comes to plastic. It's easy to kind of go in and say, let's ban all plastic everywhere. Let's get it out of all shops. Let's get it out of all businesses, hospitals. Like, obviously that's not going to work, because in places like hospitals, plastic's a necessity, and it would be really dangerous at the moment unless we have a good solution that comes up that could be an alternative. It's not a good way to just kind of go in guns blazing and say, let's just cut this out completely. And I think obviously we all want to see urgency when it comes to environmental issues, especially plastic and climate change. And there are so many easier big things that can be done to reduce plastic and climate change in so many different sectors to make a big impact, which we really need to see. But we've just, I think, got to be aware sometimes that that's why these diverse voices are so important, because they're not always easy issues to tackle, and we need the urgency, but I think we also need the nuance to them.
Yeah, mine actually really links to that as well, because when we first started the charity, we were inspired by two other young girls who were 10 and 12 when they started their charity, Bye Bye Plastic Bags. So we really looked up to these two girls who managed to ban plastic bags from their island. And so immediately we wanted to make a large scale change like that. And like you said about the supermarkets, wanting to get plastic completely out of the supermarkets would have been a massive aim for us. But I think a piece of advice I think I would have liked to be given is, don't compare your action to other people who are doing something in this area as well, because it's great to be inspired by someone who's done something massive like we were when we were younger, but definitely never compare yourself to that and go, oh, I'm 13 now and I haven't banned plastic bags from my island. It's not healthy and it's not as easy as that. So I think definitely take inspiration from other people, but don't compare yourself to them too much.
Yeah, and I think for the advice that we'd give now, I think maybe quite an obvious one, but I think one that's always good to remember is the fact that we're talking a lot about negativity on social media, and you're not always going to get everyone supporting you. I think that's a natural part of speaking out about anything. It could be a conversation around the dining room table at home. Not everyone's going to agree on that. So how can we expect everyone in society to agree completely on one single thing? You'd hope that would happen, but it's really frustrating that it doesn't. But don't let pushback really stop you from doing what you care about. If it's constructive, absolutely take it on board, but don't let one person's nasty comments or one person's negativity put a complete stop to the change that you want to make, because it probably is massively important and we need more people like you doing something about these issues. So yeah, just it's really hard. It's really, it's much easier to say than to actually do, and it's something we still struggle with, but just try and keep going, I'd say.
Yeah, and something that you see a lot when it comes to the negativity on social media is people saying, how would me stopping using this plastic item actually make a difference? This issue is so massive. That's what I see a lot of, saying the climate crisis is so huge. If I walk one time on this journey, it's not going to do anything. So I think another tip would be, don't ever underestimate what one small action can do. We hear it a lot, but it's so important to just never think that something is too small with these issues, because even doing something tiny is better than not doing anything. And I think that that's so important to remember, because action can fit into your everyday life. It doesn't have to be a whole new part of your life. You have to fit everything else around. It's something that fits into your life, yourself. So making sure you adapt how you live your life, and yeah, don't try and make it too big. It can be as small as it needs to be, because it's better than nothing.
A really, really great point. We've got a few more questions, not that many, and yeah, so the first one is, back to this idea of balancing, this time not digital versus IRL, but how do you balance your life? How do you balance campaigning, social life, education? I mean, like doing family things, chores, without burning out?
Yeah, that's something
It's-
that we're still struggling with a lot, to be honest. I think, you know, we've been doing this for so long and it's still not something that I think there's an easy answer to. I think, yeah, I think it's obviously you've got things that you have to dedicate time to. So you've got things like you've got to be at school for X number of hours a day. You've got to be at university for this number of hours. You know, those are things that we can't really get around. So I think it's, you just pencil those times off and then work around that. And I think we're quite lucky that because campaigning and these issues are something that we're so passionate about, it doesn't necessarily feel like a chore to sit down after school and say, okay, well, we've got an hour of homework to do, then we've got an hour and a half to do on the charity, then we've got, you know, dinner, perhaps washing up. Our parents will probably argue against that we actually do that, but you know, we've got this to fit in alongside it. It doesn't necessarily feel so much like a chore that we've got to soldier through each day. I mean, obviously some days it's harder than others to based on other things that you have going on in your life, but I think if you're really passionate about something, the balancing is so much easier. It's you know, it's never going to be easy, but finding that time, because it's something you want to do, is something that you actually make happen. So yeah, I think for us it's just been making sure that we prioritize, making sure that we're all involved in this. For example, we're working together on this, we're making sure that we have the certain things that we tackle first, and then we can work on the bigger projects at weekends, holidays, other time. But yeah, just a lot of making up as we go along, which somehow managed to keep us going till this date.
We're also very lucky to have had a lot of support from our parents who also help us out with the charity. Yeah, we definitely couldn't have been where we are without their support and their encouragement. If we're tired one day, they definitely help us stay motivated and help us out with the work. So we're very lucky in that sense as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And that brings us to our final question, which has been it's been answered a few times, but basically, how can we strike a balance between digital and IRL campaigning? Any final thoughts you'd like to tell us? For people watching, yeah, should they go away and start a petition, or should they go away and try and organize a conference, or in a kind of, I'm not saying you go and do that, but if they wanted to start, how would they strike that balance?
I'd say the first thing is just find don't go for the one that you think you should do. Go for the one you think you can do. So if picking up your phone and researching about an issue, or finding a local campaign you can support, or following someone on social media, if that's an action that you think you can do straight away, then do that. You know, that's a really good place to start. It might feel like not much, but it's still a starting point. It still helps you get more involved. But if, on the other hand, social media is not your thing, which I can completely get, and instead you want to think, well, what's something that I can do once a week? What's a local group I can join, a youth group or a climate group? Then go down that route. You know, don't feel like it has to be the one that everyone else is doing. Really find what fits into your life manageably, and don't feel like it has to be one or the other. You know, if you start on the ground route, or you start on the digital route, don't feel like you've got to stick with that completely by itself. Really just, I think the key thing we always encourage is find how these issues can fit into your life, as opposed to trying to treat them as a bolt-on to all the other things that we have going on in all of our lives. See how they can really merge together, because that's the way that environmental action really becomes something that's sustainable for us all.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think you kind of said it all there, but I definitely agree that it's about seeing how it works for you. So for example, with plastic pollution, we found it easiest to go with real life action and go for a litter pick, because it was something that we could leave the house and do straight away. And it was something that we were so passionate and upset about seeing this issue, that by picking up litter and seeing the area that we went to become a bit cleaner in that amount of time, that really helped us with finding a starting point for our campaigning, and also just feeling like we could do something. And I think that's really important, to just find a way of, it doesn't have to be real life action, it doesn't have to be social media, it can just be things like sharing this message. It's all just about what's most appropriate for the issue you're trying to tackle, and for yourself, and how you feel that you can get started.
And as you were saying earlier, online activism can unlock real life activism.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's great. And sadly that's all the time we have. But like, thanks so much guys for joining us and having this conversation with us. Wow, I love that so much. That's so good. It makes me smile so much seeing that. And I think, there is a lot of really great advice and stuff in that. And we will be doing a short reflection in a minute. But first, I want to see our poll results. And just quickly, if you have changed your mind after seeing the video, then please put an emoji in the chat, because I think there are some really great points and some really great debates for either side. So if you have changed your mind, then do put some comments in the chat.
We hope you enjoyed it. We really enjoyed doing it, and hopefully it's inspired you to understand and kind of explore the debate more between digital and IRL. How do we get the poll results, Irys?
Yes, Anna, can you put up the poll results, please?
Here they come.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I was not expecting that, to be fair.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be more balanced, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
To be honest, when I answered this, I put digital, which I think I have a bit of favoritism here because I have a digital campaign. But it was a tricky one, actually, because I do see that, like in real life, if you're talking to someone, you have them there, and unless they want to be really rude, they have to listen to what you want to say. So I do get it from that perspective, but I guess also digital does reach more people. So yeah, that is interesting.
I'm probably more on the side of IRL, I think, just because I enjoy doing that more. And I think there's something really special when you're changing things in real life. I think it's really motivational. Whereas I don't find digital as motivational. But yeah, you're absolutely, as we said in the video, it makes things so much more accessible. It reaches so many more people, which I mean, all results show we need a balance.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Oh, they're moving.
Okay. Right. Interesting.
Is it time to go on to the questions? Oh, there's a few more.
No, we've got a couple more questions, Eddie. Don't get ahead of yourself. Okay, yes, this is it. This is probably, this makes sense.
This is what we're talking about. Now, I see what someone or a few people were saying about IRL being more accessible, because there is definitely some people don't have access to the internet. Some people don't like spending time on social media. But on balance, digital does reach loads more people than IRL events do.
Yeah, and I guess also because, as we sort of touched on briefly in the interview, being online, you can reach people from all around the world, which I guess therefore does make it slightly more accessible. But also, as we said, how you just said, like, some people don't like spending time on social media or online or whatever, with that, as we said, there is that sort of negativity on there, which I do understand. And, I myself, I do spend a lot of time online because I have a digital campaign and because, anyway. But, I do understand that, Anyway, sorry, I don't even know where I was going with that. Can we have the next poll result?
Got a good comment from Catherine saying so hard to choose. So hard to choose between them. Definitely need a bit of both.
Yes, that is so true.
It is so true. We've got some results for the how do you campaign question. Lots of people posting on social media, lots of people engaging in their communities, which is great. And I love that that's a digital thing and an in real life thing.
Yeah, that's great.
I really like that.
Yes. I think, talking to friends and family, that's also just so important because that's something literally everyone can do. And
that's underrated. Lots of people don't realize the importance of talking to friends and family about values. I think if we all talking is I remember the Petra Kucha on Monday. I don't know if anyone else watched that, but I think it was Evan who said talking over like a cup of tea is so powerful. It really changes and really makes people feel empowered.
Yes, 100%. And also, having these conversations, like I have these conversations with my friends and family a lot. And I think, it really makes you have a sort of, it makes you listen to more people, and you can have like a broader understanding of different issues. So I think that is, as you said, like a bit underrated, but still really important.
Is that the end of the poll?
Yeah, I think so. That was pretty much it. Shall we move on to some questions? We don't want to run out of time.
Yes.
Do you want to go on and pick some questions, Eddie?
Yeah, I'll have a look in the chat and get one for you. Oh, this is one, it works very well for you, from Freya. What is the best way to get the message out on social media about the climate and ecological emergency?
Okay, I was not expecting such difficult questions. Okay, that is a interesting one.
Yeah, that is a really
I think for me, with my campaign, I have found it difficult to reach. Well, I don't really reach that many people, but I think it is difficult. But just trying to make your content as engaging as possible, that is important. Sorry, my computer's about to die. I need to plug it in. Sorry. Wait.
I'll take over for a minute. I found that, I mean, we talked in the interview about we needing to require the least amount of effort for people to engage in. So don't make it tricky, make it easy for people. That's the point about accessibility. And also, again, getting the message out about the climate and ecological emergency. People, it's a well-known thing, climate change. So people want to find angles that are new, angles that are interesting, storytelling. As I mentioned in my Petra Kucha on Monday, storytelling is such a powerful thing, and it's very underrated. It really is it's an incredible way to bring people together and engage people with things. I'm going to move on to a different question now, one I can answer more easily. About oh, hey Irys.
Sorry about that.
Someone said, really value the discussion around meaningfully involving young people in decision making. Does anyone know of any good examples where young people have been reimbursed or financially compensated for their time and contribution to a project or event? And I can talk about my climate conference that I was recently involved in. The charity I worked for, we got paid for our time. So we got money from funding organizations and stuff. And when we were running the event, we compensated as many people as possible for travel, as many people who needed it, which was very important for getting people from across the country. And also we gave money contributions to the speakers for their time and the workshops for their time. And I never realized before that can be really helpful to people, because it removing those barriers for participation, which is really cool. And there's more and more funding available for that now, which is really great. Irys, do you want another question?
Yeah, I just sort of saw one that I find quite interesting from George about how do we break down the barriers that environmental activism is an activity that only middle/upper class young people can afford to participate in. And that is something that I have been trying to figure out myself recently. I hadn't really thought about it before, but then I was, at an event and I've listened to some talks, and, I really sort of realized that being a change maker is a privilege. Like, being able to do this isn't something that everyone else can do, because people have so much going on in their lives, and people who particularly live in poverty, they're just trying to survive. They're trying to keep a roof over their head, have food on the table, that they can't think about something so far in the future, even though it's not really too far in the future. But so I think that is a really difficult question. But I think unless you're in, I don't want to generalize here, but I think unless you're in quite extreme circumstances, there is something you can do. Even if it's just the smallest action, there is something that you can do. You don't have to join something like iwill. You don't have to start a campaign. You could just buy a few bits with less single-use plastic, or literally just something like that. It's not, becoming a change maker isn't doing something big. It's just like lots of tiny actions that will create change. And Eddie, do you want to answer something now?
Yeah, well, just briefly on that question, providing funding to support people and to turn it into a job is another way of helping reduce barriers to participation, which is, as you said, very important. I got a question from Catherine. Well, am I able to share the name of the charity? The charity is DMK Potential. They run various different projects, and I was doing some climate justice work with them, and we did the Alcoy Youth Climate Conference, which was really, really great fun, actually. A question from the audience is, how do you recommend challenging adults without coming across wrong? And that's a really tricky question. How do we, because there's a really fine line with this kind of thing. How do we challenge people, but also maintain a kind of diplomatic approach? And there's no easy answer, I would say. I think it's probably a skill. It depends on the adults you're talking to. There's a genuine question if you're positively challenging adults, if you're trying to help them improve, and if you're trying to help make something happen, and they're not engaging, then that's not your fault. That's their fault. But also, there's a way that you can engage with people which isn't destructive and is constructive. And I guess it's something that you can only just practice. Being empathetic and listening is perhaps the thing that springs to mind. How does that sound, Irys?
Yeah, I think that is very true. Like, especially listening, because I think if you're willing to listen to what they're saying, then unless they're, annoying, then they should be willing to listen to what you're saying. And I think, as long as you're not being rude, there's a difference between being rude and challenging. But as long as you are willing to listen to what they say, then I think they should be willing to listen to what you're saying too.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We've got time for a few more questions. So if you've got any, keep sending them in. I'm just trying to find another one. Irys, have you got one that you've seen?
No, sorry, I wasn't even looking.
Yeah. Not a problem. Give us a no, sorry.
Right. Yeah. 1 second.
I don't think there's any more questions from the chat, actually. We've just had a look through. So if anyone's got one that they can send us now, or we can... Oh, we've got one from Deborah. What's the biggest lesson you've learned on your activism journey? Irys, do you want to go first?
Oh, okay, that's tricky. Yeah, Deborah, that is hard. I don't know. I think I'm going to start with a personal gain. I think I've become more confident, which something that has really helped me. I guess that's not really a lesson that I've learned though. Also, I think another thing, even though I'm not particularly that good at it, but I think I have become better at like things like this, sort of voicing my thoughts and opinions, and also I think also writing. That's something that I've become a lot better at with my digital campaign. It's a lot of writing posts and stuff about different issues surrounding chemical pollution and environmental issues. That's sort of the basis of my campaign. So I think that's something better. I don't think I really answered that very well, but Eddie, do you want to try and do that a bit better?
I think I answered that well. Biggest lesson I've learned. It's okay if things don't go to plan. You can learn that lesson anywhere in life. But I've learned it several times on my activism journey. And there's always a workaround. And also, everything is connected. And in order to make a better world, we need to address everything. And that's everything from climate change to refugee rights to discrimination to mental health. And I think if we have an approach which is holistic and tackles everything, then that is really powerful. We've got one last question from Catherine. What do you think environmental charities can do to take down more barriers to young people getting involved and influencing campaigning either digitally or IRL, which is actually gives us a really nice opportunity to summarize the session. Do you want to go first, Irys, or shall I share my thoughts?
Do you want to go first? I want to have a think about this one.
I mean, yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, the barriers to participation are things like time, and commitment to other things, school and work. So I think environmental charities need to work around young people in a way. Also, the letting anyone who wants to be involved get involved is quite a nice thing to do. There are some that's when a charity has a youth board or something, people apply and some people are selected, and that's great. But also other charities like Teach the Future, a campaign I recently joined, they let any young people who are interested join them, which I think is a really lovely way of doing it as well, because people that have to start their journey somewhere. In real life is a tricky, I find it tricky to get young people in my town to come to events and stuff. So I've found that going into schools where they are there is just easier. And that's removing barriers. And digitally is tricky again, making it easy, making it accessible, making the whole thing enjoyable as well, making it fun. I know that sounds tricky, but it's definitely a possibility. Definitely would help. Any more thoughts?
I really liked what you said about actually meeting young people where they're at, like going into schools. Yeah. I think if you want to involve young people that much, then you will be willing to go to them. But I also think, having things that aren't on in school time as well, like things in the evenings, things that, but also showing that you are listening to them. I feel like young people want to get involved in things where they are being listened to, and it's not like, oh yeah, thanks for your thoughts, we'll think about it or whatever. It's like you are sort of showing them that you have put their contributions into practice, and I think that's something is really important because it makes them feel more included.
Yeah, giving young people as high profile activities or opportunities as you can. So if there's something in your organization that would be cool for them to get involved in, say they take over your social media, or I don't know, they have a conversation with your board of trustees. If you can arrange it, some of them are really not that tricky. Go for it. I think they would enjoy that, and then you getting young people involved, moving down the barriers.
100%.
I think that might be time for us to wrap up. We've got one more quick question. Who from Poppy? Who or what inspires you the most? In your campaigning / activism, do you have a quick answer?
Okay. This is a very quick, not thought through answer. It's probably my family. I would say they are probably my biggest inspirations because my brother, my sister in particular, but my brother as well, they have sort of gone before me, and like my sister joined iwill last year, and sort of, so, I'm kind of following in their footsteps to some degree, but I think just sort of seeing what they can do and what they've achieved inspires me to go, actually, no, I can do this and I can achieve what I want to.
Yeah, I love that. For me, my parents are very they're kind of not activism related, but they do charity and environmental things, and they do lots of stuff, and that's really inspiring to me. But also slightly off, but also organizations like the iwill movement. The fact that organizations like and people like this are joining this event, you guys, hi, you inspire me, because the fact that we've got loads of people involved in this, that shows me that we do, there's potential for change, and that we can keep on going.
Yes, I love that.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for coming. I think that brings us to the end.
Yeah, just about.
I think we need to plug the social media. If you've got anything you liked about this session, please share it on social media and tag the iwill movement at iwill_movement, and hashtag Power of Youth. You can check out iwill's Power of Youth Charter for charities looking to get involved in or looking to get young people involved in their work. And do follow Kids Against Plastic on social media. I hope you enjoyed our conversation with them.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Have a good evening.